Hey Kamook heads, how you guys doing? I know it's been a while, but I had my finals. Summer was coming, and I kind of just got distracted. So it's been a little bit of time since I put on the old uniform. But I'm gonna be honest, I kind of ran out of ideas. So whenever I run out of ideas, I cover stories, weekly shows, like I did with Agatha All Along, or like I did with Ahsoka when Ahsoka was out. But this time we're covering Rick and Morty Season 8. Now, Rick and Morty Season 8, Episode 1 just came out, so we're just going to do a little commentary, a little review of that, a little recap, get you guys fresh in your memory, and yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing today and for the next couple weeks. Yeah. This episode is titled Summer of All Fears, and it does a cold open on this weird dystopian society, and we see Summer, Morty's sister, basically leading the society as its president, its like tech billionaire, Elon Musk type, or whatever you want to call it. But basically, she's in charge. Now, this society is filled with people with a strange fixation on charging their phones. In this weird dystopia, it's highly illegal and extremely discouraged to steal people's chargers. So we could see basically like right off the bat that something is off. Like we're not in our normal setting. Like Summer and Morty are in this strange environment. Summer seeks out Morty, and together they manage to escape this strange high-tech world by making chargers obsolete. Like Summer has all this shit in motion. Like she has a huge company, blah blah blah. And apparently she found a way to charge phones remotely without charging. So I guess that like some type of like paradox and short-circuited the matrix of what they're in. They're in a matrix, by the way. And it basically broke them out of this strange reality that's so based in charging your phone or whatever. It's weird. After Morty and Summer break out, we finally get the full picture, and it turns out that Rick was punishing them for stealing his charger. He trapped them in a goddamn matrix for 17 years because they took his charger without asking. Honestly, I think that's an underreaction. Like, if I need my phone's at like 1% and I'm looking for the damn charger and it's not where I left it, I'm gonna be pissed too. Rick threatens to wipe Summer and Morty's minds, but their mother Beth steps in and doesn't let them. So, basically, Summer and Morty experienced 17 years of time in the Matrix, so they essentially have aged 17 years, despite still being in the bodies of children. The consequences of this being essentially the premise of the episode.
My hands! A child's hands!
You built a Matrix?
Summer goes back to high school, thinking that she'll crush it, but she immediately gets kicked out because her nipples were too hard or something. Like, I don't know, I haven't been in high school for a while, but, I'm pretty sure you can't fucking make that observation as a teacher. Beth picks her up from school and begins to like Summer's new attitude. She's essentially a grown woman, Instead of going home and changing to something else, they go out for drinks, and Beth and Summer talk a little bit, and Beth gets to know the new Summer, essentially, and as Summer belittles Beth and makes little jabs at her about her clothes, about her hair, about her quality as a mother, we flip back to Morty's side of things. And he's become like quite an engineer during his 17 years in the Matrix. I'm pretty surprised. Morty is typically like made out to be an idiot, but as we've seen in the more recent seasons, he's starting to like smarten up a little bit. Morty's working on some kind of super tank, and even Rick has to admit that Morty was able to catch a few things that Rick missed. All of a sudden, Morty has a flashback to when he was still in the charger matrix. Morty gets arrested for stealing a charger and goes to prison. We see him learn some of the engineering skills that he's used, and Morty learns some engineering stuff while on the inside, and he eventually makes some friends and becomes a firefighter. But when we see his friends watching the TV and witnessing this weird Taliban execution of a charger, and in this matrix society, chargers are very fucking important for some reason, they freak out and join the military, hoping to kill Osama bin Laden, who executed these poor innocent chargers right before our very eyes on national television. We cut back to Summer, who's continuing to piss off her mom by being an insufferable, bitchy, middle-aged white woman. The kind that like run companies that sell shit that they don't even the kind of white women that run companies that sell shit that they wouldn't buy themselves. Beth slowly becomes more and more pissed at Summer, although she's making... You know, the flavor of white woman that like runs a huge successful company of shit that they would never buy themselves. We see Beth slowly becoming more and more pissed off at Summer, although Summer is making some sort of sense here. Anyway, Summer and Beth get back home to see Rick and Morty building their super tank on the front lawn, and Morty has another flashback where he remembers the Great Charger War, where he learned that if you die in the Charger Matrix, you don't die for real. It's like the opposite of the regular Matrix or Inception or whatever the fuck. So the Charger army used Morty's immortality to help them win the war. So the Charger army used Morty's immortality to give them an edge during this war. And Morty is clearly getting more and more mentally unstable. Or at the very least, we're realizing that he's more and more crazy, and this war affected him a lot more than we were led on. Morty tricks Rick into getting stuck in his own Matrix and grabs that murder tank they were building and drives off, leaving Rick in a Matrix reality where it is highly illegal and extremely discouraged to trap people in Matrixes. That's not a joke. They just walk around talking about, oh, I sure hope nobody traps me in the Matrix. That would be terrible. Morty's driving his super tank to a nuclear power plant in hopes to destroy it or something. His motivations and end goals kind of get like called into question here. Like, what the fuck is his end game? Like, I think he wants to just wipe out all energy in America or something. We cut back over to Summer, who's attending this pottery class in Santa Fe. You know the type, like those hippie ones with crystal clutching, tree hugging, 40-something-year-old white moms whose kids left for college, so now all they really got to live for is reading their horoscope or the fucking weird calendar thingy. Zodiac? Is that what it is? Anyway, Beth manages to have an open and honest conversation with her daughter, and they reach an understanding. Probably because they're both adults. If it was just regular Summer, I think she might have just got like slapped in the face or some shit. I don't know.
You're so gross!
You have to like it or you're sexist.
But they put their differences aside to go save Morty from destroying the world or something. I'm not sure what the stakes are here. Rick, still trapped in the Matrix, meant to teach him not to trap people in the Matrix, traps all 8 billion people in the Matrix in a Matrix within a Matrix. Yeah, that's right. This creates a paradox that fries the Matrix and gets him out of the Matrix. Now he does this all in like maybe a couple hours, which is like pretty impressive since it took like Summer and Morty 17 years. But you know, yeah, he's Rick, smartest guy in the universe. Morty does one last flashback to his time in the war, and we actually see him managing to kill Osama bin Laden. And yeah, but in the process, he does lose all of his friends. He decides that to just screw it and hit the nuclear reactor or whatever and do like another Chernobyl, but Summer shows up and stops him at the very last second. She admits to Morty that she was the one who set up the war. She used her vast wealth as a tech billionaire to influence foreign affairs that she had no business sticking her nose in. What type of person would do that? Anyway, Summer talks Morty down, and they decide to not nuke America. However, random antics ensue, and the reactor is melting down anyway. Rick shows up, makes a friend who we may or may not see later in this season, and he bails everybody out, as Rick typically does. Rick and Summer get their minds wiped, and all that time they spent in the Matrix is just gone, and the episode ends with a factory reset, basically. So, yeah, Let's go into the commentary part of the video. As a season premiere, I think it's a little like, where's Jerry? You know, when we're doing season premieres, we want to either focus on Rick and Morty or focus on the family as a whole. They essentially just developed entirely new personalities for the entire episode. We don't get to see any of like typical Summer or Morty until like the very last second. And even Rick is barely in this episode himself, so yeah, that's one criticism I have for it. Another criticism I have is redoing the whole Matrix episode in the first place. Don't you remember the season 7 finale? That was essentially a Matrix episode with like the fear hole shit. That's basically the Matrix. Like they were trapped in the fear hole. They didn't know if they were in or out or not. You know, during this episode, I actually thought that they were still in a Matrix, just like Rick and Summer did, or Summer and Morty did at the very last second. But it turns out no, that once they were out of that Matrix, there was no more second Matrixes. Like they were in the real world. I think Rick would consider it hacky if they weren't, you know. But you know, I guess that's the point of the episode. Is not that the point of the episode isn't that they were in a Matrix. It's like the results of after that, which I think is it's a kind of respectable creative decision, I would say. There was some light commentary on the jail system, with Morty being unable to hold like a typical job after he got out of jail. I thought that was kind of nice, you know. System, once you're in, you never get out, man. Don't mess up. Even if you're innocent, man, some innocent people are sitting in jail right now. This episode, I feel like we could have done like a more traditional Matrix story, but no. They got out the Matrix like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, like 5 seconds into the damn episode. 30. Okay, let's not be too crazy here. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode of the Kamookster. You know, we're gonna be doing the Rick and Morty discussions on the weekly now. Hopefully, if I have enough time. I'm getting my internships lined up pretty soon, and I might not have too much time for videos. But you know, summer is what created my channel. Really, summer. Even back when I was doing my Red Panda channel, it got deleted, but it's probably all gone like forever. But yeah, if you ever manage to find something by a YouTuber named Red Panda, it was me. And I did it during the summer. I used to make What If covers. Yeah, I used to cover episodes on What If. But you know, I like what I'm doing now too. You know, this is really paying off. I'd say I haven't gotten any actual money yet, but I should be monetized by tomorrow, God willing. Thank God for letting me get like 25k subs, like seemingly overnight. They told me that I would blow up eventually, and I didn't believe them. It was a slow drag, but you know, it paid off, and I just want to say thank you, everybody. All right, bye, and stay scheming or keep dreaming. I am not that chopped.
Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 28 through 29.
How's it going? Why does this fucking fly just keep flying the fuck in? Like, it's nobody's business. I'm killing every... Okay. Bye. He just walked out. Oh, come on! He came back in! Alright. That's going in the end credits.